Welcome to the Mental Health Boot Camp podcast. We are back again. We are three Canadians and one American, psychologists and therapists here to serve you cutting-edge mental health knowledge. I am Ryan House from California.
I'm Chris Boyd from Vancouver.
I'm Brooke Lewis from Vancouver, Canada.
And I am Joanna Boyd from Vancouver, Canada.
Fantastic. Great to see you guys again. Great to be here. We, this is now our sixth podcast. Can you believe that?
Nope.
Sixth
Can't.
episode. It's amazing. And we're very happy to be spreading out. We have listeners now in the United States and several places in Canada. Really want to get some listeners in Nunavut. Is that right? Yes. If you guys know someone in Nunavut, we'd love to get some people up there. We have a listener in Singapore. What do you know? We're just spreading like wildfire. It's kind of fun. As always, if you guys have a question or if you have a comment or if you would like us to talk about a certain topic or anything like that, please just email us at info@mentalhealthbootcamp.com and let us know. We are eager to hear your input. So, how are you guys doing this week?
Good. I'm a little fatigued today.
Oh, yeah? Uh-oh.
Yes. So I did, I pulled a Chris. So sometimes Chris loads his days with clients and then one or two cancel out and you're good to go. But mine did not cancel out. So I did 7 in a row today. No breaks. And that was fatiguing, but that's okay.
So Brooke is currently delirious right now.
A little bit zapped.
The good thing it's your week for the ambush.
I know.
Yes. That's busy. Tell me, how do you, when you're seeing 7 people back to back like that, and do you do 50-minute sessions or 45, or how do you do that?
Yeah, we do 50s.
50s. So then you got that 10 minutes, that sweet little 10 minutes there to take care of business, whatever you got to take care of. How do you take care of yourself during a back-to-back day like that? This is for all you guys.
Question. So for me, I had to prep sort of ahead of time. So last night I started thinking about what snacks I could have in between clients.
Sure.
You don't have time to actually go have lunch. So
and how did that work out? Bananas, yeah.
I had a banana and some crackers. I was going to go to the store and get mixed nuts, and I didn't do that. So by the time I was done at 7, I was pretty starving, but that's okay. So that worked. And then I take the opportunity if a client's able to start early, 5 minutes early or whatnot, I'll do that. So my next break is just 5 minutes longer to give me a bit more time getting up to make sure I stand up and walk, get fresh water, that kind of stuff. But I had to pace my water. It's kind of like a dog. When you leave them at home, they don't drink water until you come home so that they don't have to pee. I felt like I was doing that today. I was like, I'm not going to drink too much water because I don't have time for the bathroom.
Dogs will do that? They think through that or have an instinct about that?
Yeah, once they get a little bit older, they figure that out, that when you leave, nobody's there to let them out. So they won't drink water. So if you've been a few hours and you come back, all of a sudden they'll go to the water bowl and drink a bunch.
Oh my gosh. I love that. Can't wait for my dog to get to that point. That's excellent. What about you other guys? You Boyd people, what do you guys do on a long, busy day for self-care? Do you know?
Yeah, I just try to stand up or just walk around, get some water when I can. I think if I have a bit of a tiny break, I like to usually maybe watch something kind of like zone out a bit. So I like to maybe look up something on YouTube. Chris has caught me a few times. He'll walk into my office and I'll be watching a random video and he's like, good thing you're doing your notes. And I'll be like, I just need some time. I just need a break. So I'm not my breaks usually consist of eating quickly or catching up on Netflix or watching a random YouTube video.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so for me, along the same lines, usually something that does not involve too much cognitive focusing. So maybe looking at real estate just for fun, or trying to find unique treasures on Craigslist, or have a bit of extra time, go out for a walk, which is of course the obvious one. Some movement and share.
Of course.
Yeah, does
Of
the brain
course.
good.
What about you, Ryan?
When I'm at my most ambitious, I will squeeze in the 7-minute workout. Are you guys familiar with the 7-minute workout?
No.
There's just
Please
this.
do tell.
It's just you can get it downloaded on an app or find it on YouTube or something. But it's 7 minutes of like several different exercises. It's more than 7 exercises, maybe 14 exercises even. Maybe not that, maybe 10 exercises or so. But just intense exercises. So it's like squats, push-ups, planking, high knees, that sort of thing. 7 minutes, you get a good workout, your heart rate goes way up, and it feels great.
So you
Wow.
can do that in your like office clothes?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, it's not all that vigorous, you know. It's just moving around,
It's
getting
the blood flowing.
get the blood flowing.
Yeah.
And again, that's when I'm at my most ambitious. Usually it's go to the bathroom, grab a snack, check my email, stand up and walk around for a minute, and that's about it.
Yeah, you got to be careful with those squats and dress pants, Ryan.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. I wouldn't want to split my pants in the rear or something like that, right? No, that's not even necessary these days because I haven't worn pants in I think about 5 months. So it's not a problem. It's always shorts all the time for me. Well, cool. Well, look, good to hear you guys are taking care of yourself between clients on those busy days. Good for the clients, good for you. Well, we do have this ambush coming up, and I know Brooke has put a lot of thought and energy into it.
Yep. I decided it today, halfway between the clients. I don't know, client 3 and 4, 2
Oh
and
boy.
3.
Okay. Well, I'm waiting for your
Ready?
text from
Sent.
Yeah, we try to get some clues today, Ryan. But it was Fort Knox. She wouldn't give us any clues at all.
It's
Is
because
that
I didn't have a topic yet.
so? You're saying you're trying to figure it out, and she didn't have one. Okay. Well, let's see what she's got right now. I've got it now. It says, let's talk. Oh, you know what? Before I even get into that, I think I would like to mention for people who are new listeners, maybe new listeners from Nunavut or from Singapore or from wherever, the ambush is this special part of the Boot Camp podcast where one person comes up with a topic, the other 3 of us don't know what it is, and we just get ambushed. We have to talk about this topic off the cuff, no planning, no preparation, which I think is fitting because therapy sessions work like that. We don't know what the client's going to bring up, and we have to be prepared. Got to be on our toes. So let's see how well we can handle this topic from Brooke. Here it is. Let's talk sleep and sleep hygiene. What is your go-to for sleep education? Any tips for achieving a restful slumber? Oh, my goodness.
Like an
Yeah, I just
extension
felt
of
like-
one of the. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I felt like it was a good one. General knowledge that pretty much anyone can benefit from. It's so important, and I'm sure we all have a lot of information or go-tos when it comes to sleep hygiene that we talk to our clients about. So very practical knowledge about to come here.
Yes, this is practical knowledge. And honestly, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but in my time, in my COVID time, I have talked more about sleep with clients than I think ever before. People who are awake because of like anxiety, you know, they're running through things in their head, they're having a hard time falling asleep, or they wake up thinking about things, worrying about things, or people just having a hard time because they're at home all the time and there's something weird about being in the same space all the time, and they feel like they're having a hard time winding down, or the oddest thing, and I've even experienced some of this more so than ever in the past, is waking up really early. I've woken up very early, you know, with the sun or earlier, and have a hard time falling back asleep because I don't know why. Because there's something going on with time and with isolation. Have you guys noticed any of that?
Yeah, for sure. Like sleep is one of those tedious things, right? We talked a bit about this before in self-care that when you try really hard to fall asleep, what's likely going to happen? You're not going to fall asleep, right? So especially when it comes to maybe the increase in terms of anxiety, so when things are kind of calm and quiet, that's where the mind tends to take over a bit. And so there's lots of things to ponder right now with COVID and obviously jobs and the ripple effect, I guess, of what's been happening over the past several months. So, but it's actually a great topic because sometimes I feel I don't emphasize it enough because the impact of it is so drastic, right? If you're having a horrible sleep, it's going to impact your mental health in pretty drastic ways.
Yes. For new listeners, I'll invite you to go back and listen to episode 1 where we're talking about kind of the pillars of mental health, and sleep was one of them. We covered some of these topics there, but we're happy to go over them again. And we were debating, I don't know if you guys recall, we were debating that time whether sleep, exercise, or nutrition were kind of had the biggest impact on mental health. And I think we landed on, well, we were kind of split, but we landed on nutrition, I think. But sleep is major. Sleep influences everything that you do. If you think about it, if you're not rested, you will have a hard time functioning in all other areas of your life. And maybe not even able to do some of the other healthy things that you would do for self-care.
Yeah. And I work with clients who've been in accidents, car accidents or work-related accidents, and physical pain is a constant for some of these people, right? So sometimes they only sleep for short amounts of time and they're up, right? Trying to deal with that discomfort. But yeah, an awful sleep will lead to more irritability, and our mind's not working the way it's supposed to, right? So it will impact your ability to engage in your day.
So true. Okay, so let's go through this. We understand that sleep is important, but let's go to kind of as Brooke was asking, what's your go-to for sleep education? What are kind of some of the main points that you like to share with people? Maybe some resources, kind of thoughts and ideas to help people with sleep.
I think, like you said, Chris, I agree. I think I could emphasize that a lot more. I think whenever I check in with a client or get to know a client, I definitely go over sleep, just like with how's your nutrition, how's your daily movement, etc. But it's just, I really emphasize the importance of it and how it really ripples out to other aspects of your health, mental health, physical health. I like to talk to clients just about how to boost their, I guess, hygiene. So I don't really, maybe the others have actual resources to share. I just more kind of talk a little bit about some things they can do, but it's about kind of the environment as well as some habits they have, kind of combining the two. So we would go over in more detail what their bedroom environment would look like, in addition to some of the habits they could do to help themselves create a good routine. So you could always go into those a little bit more later, but those are kind of things I initially go over succinctly. But I'd love to hear about some actual resources or things for clients to read that anyone else might have.
Yeah. I often ask a client, so when it comes to sleep, if you have issues sleeping, is it because you don't physically feel tired, or is it because you can't turn your mind off? And I would say 80 to 90% of the time they say it's because they can't turn their minds off, right? Because I think the strategies that we would discuss are kind of focused on whether it's more physical, like sometimes people, they're working out too close to bed, or they're working kind of late, and they kind of, it takes a while to wind down, right? So that would be more, we'd be more focused on wind down activities. So instead of delving into, a video game or whatever it might be, maybe it's more of something a little more relaxing, right? It could be a stunning bath with Epsom salts and some candles.
Mm-hmm.
It could be reading a book. It could be practicing some mindfulness meditation, right? In terms of the mind, like I often encourage clients to take some time during the day to do some writing or just more get the, if there is something on your mind, then have that moment of catharsis. Try to process it. And then later on that night, maybe it's, just trying to refocus or redirect your mind to something a little more monotonous and boring. So, you can always count sheep. Counting sheep is actually based on a lot of research. Unless you're a farmer or really, really have a thing for sheep, it should be a pretty boring activity to do, right? So sometimes people count up or count down or body scans, like back to the mindfulness techniques. But recognizing when you're distracted by a thought and then just trying to bring yourself back into the moment or something that does not have a strong emotional connection to your life.
Those are great.
So you're saying that people who have a thing for sheep, this might not be so effective, right?
That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Because some people like sheep. They have stuffed animals. They've got pictures of sheep on their wall, something like that, right? So that might not work for them. Maybe they'd have to count water buffaloes or something like that. All right. Something a little
1,
You're
2.
It'd be a bit slow moving.
That is true. This is great stuff. I tend to go towards some more pragmatic stuff when it comes to sleep. You're talking about stuff in the moment, which I think is fantastic, but I like to step back a little bit with clients and take a look at some of the other factors, the organic factors, you might say. But there's a great book that I read a little while ago called Why We Sleep, which is Matthew Walker is the name of the author. And it was really well done. It talks a lot about sleep and some about dreams as well, but it really breaks it down to some of the other factors that we don't consider. A big one being caffeine. And we all love our caffeine, but as people have done research on caffeine, what come to realize is that the half-life of caffeine is 12 hours. So if you have a cup of coffee a nice strong cup of coffee at noon, then at midnight, half of that caffeine is still in your body. And kind of no wonder you're going to have a hard time falling asleep if you have a lot of caffeine still in your system, right? But then of course it's cyclical. So then you can't fall asleep maybe at midnight as quickly as you'd like to. You fall asleep at 1:30 or 2, and then you got to wake up at 7 the next day, and then you're tired, so you start slamming more caffeine to wake yourself up, and then that problem continues. Then you have all this caffeine in your body, and you have a hard time going to sleep. So really, I'd like to talk to clients about, let's be realistic about how much caffeine you're really having during the day. And let's take a look at, whether or not it's okay to cut that down. Can you go decaf? Can you go half calf? Whatever it is. Because oftentimes they're not even aware of the fact that, some people say, well, I don't have a coffee after 2 p.m. or 4 p.m. or something like that. Well, there's still a lot of caffeine in your body if you're trying to sleep at that point. Are you going to say something, Chris? No, you're just coughing. Oh,
sorry about that. Yeah,
there we go. Okay. So caffeine is a big one. I want to check out with people's caffeine levels. The other is alcohol, which is another major contributor. So alcohol is a depressant. Some people say I need to have a couple drinks in order to get to bed at night. I can understand that, but the issue is whenever you take a drug, the body responds pretty strongly to it, and then there's a rebound effect, right? So if you have a couple of drinks, yeah, it might be a depressant for a while, but then the body responds by boosting you up a little bit, and that's when people wake up in the middle of the night. They have a hard time staying asleep, something like that. And so caffeine, can keep you awake, and then you're really groggy the next day. So it's like this. There's all this yin and yang with drug effects. So. And the worst is when people get into the pattern of, I'm going to slam myself with a bunch of caffeine all day long, then I'm going to hammer myself with a bunch of alcohol at night to get to bed, and then I wake up in the morning feeling horrible and have to slam the caffeine again. And if you
take a nap.
Or take a nap. And that's the other thing I ask people about is how much napping are they doing?
Mm-hmm.
And there's there's a lot of evidence out there that suggests that a 15-minute nap can be good for you, can be good for the system, help you to relax and reset. But some people nap for 2 hours in the middle of the day, and that is totally going to throw off your sleep cycle. Not helpful for you. And so you really have to limit the nap time, actually, to make it pretty minimal in order for you to still maintain a good sleep hygiene. So there's all the things I'd look at. I'm looking at all those kind of biological things as well.
All very good. Yeah, I agree. I look at those as well, especially chemicals, caffeine and alcohol and behaviors. So what does your bedtime routine look like is going to really look at your sleep, right? So I talk a lot to my clients about sleep. It sounds like maybe a little bit more than some of you, or maybe even all of you, but I emphasize it. We spend at least one session just talking about sleep for most clients, and it just naturally kind of goes there eventually, just to stabilize it. And then sometimes we have sleep goals, so setting up a sleep routine. So we talk about conditioning and how that works. So looking at what activities are you doing in your bedroom, all of that kind of behavioral stuff. And we actually, which clients seem to really like, we talk about sleep cycles and the different stages of sleep and kind of what happens there in sleep paralysis and coming out of sleep paralysis. And that's when you're waking up because you're in light sleep and you need to move around, and that's fine. And it's not necessarily disruptive or going to have a negative impact on your day. So they seem to really, really appreciate that part. And then earlier, Ryan, you asked about COVID and sleep, and I haven't seen it too much in my clients, but more recently, because I have a lot of clients that will be returning to school. So in Vancouver, Canada, they start school September 10th is their first day. So a lot of teenagers now are like, I need to get ready. So now we're doing sleep training essentially on their own. So they've been going to bed at 2 or 3 a.m., getting up at 10 or 11 or 12. And so for the past month, for a handful of them, we've been working on every 5 days, moving their bedtime and their wake up time by 15 minutes. So that by the time school comes, they may not be right there, but they're going to be closer to the time they need to wake up. Otherwise, you're going to go through like a jet lag effect. If you have to abruptly change your sleep cycle, you're essentially experiencing jet lag, self-induced jet lag. And it's going to throw off your whole circadian system, right? So, so I talk a lot about circadian system, the rhythm and sleep cycles and classical conditioning.
I'm curious, melatonin is a natural supplement. Does anyone encourage clients to explore taking melatonin, or what's your experience with that?
I've certainly had some clients try that out, and they found it kind of helpful. They feel that melatonin helps you kind of get to that sort of drowsiness sort of phase, within 30 minutes or so. Like you take that and you kind of start to feel that, maybe that first yawn. It doesn't have a big effect on keeping you asleep or, longevity of sleep, but it helps you to kind of initiate sleep. That's what I've heard from some of the reports from my clients. How about you guys? You guys heard anything from that?
I know, like if clients talk about having trouble with sleep, I usually check in to see if they're taking melatonin or any over-the-counter things, and they'll be like, yeah, try that, or I've tried it, but I've become tolerant to it, or it just doesn't do the trick anymore. So they tend to ask about other things, and I'm like, I'm not a doctor. I can't suggest anything that way, but it seems to be a common thing, or at least is known about. So I will suggest it, but I'm not well versed in all, suggesting any other things in terms of, supplements or whatnot.
I agree. I don't recommend or really I say consult with your doctor. There are options out there if that's the route that you want to take. But we also, again, for the education part, talk about how sleep medication, we really want to use it in short term anyway. So we want that to aid us in our behavior change so that we can come off the medication in 2 weeks and your sleep is okay.
Yeah.
We want this to be a short-term strategy. Yeah.
That's another big part of this Why We Sleep book is, I believe, if I recall correctly, he was pretty against sleep medication unless absolutely necessary, because it really does, it has some detrimental effects. You can become dependent on it pretty quickly, and once you become dependent on a sleep medication, then coming off of it means you're going to have a hard time sleeping, right? Or a hard time falling asleep, and this makes people feel more inclined to go back to it. And the quality of sleep is not great. Just like with alcohol, the quality of sleep is not great when you're on a sleeping medication, because you're kind of bypassing a lot of the deep sleep. It's just sort of a light sleep that you're kind of knocked out and just kind of in a light sleep for several hours, and not getting a lot of the good REM sleep or the good deep sleep.
Yeah, I've heard that too, with the not getting into that stage 4 or stage 5 sleep. There's a great app out there. I'm sure there's many of them, but called Sleep Cycle. So the way it works is you put the your phone face down on the mattress, and it measures movement on the mattress. So when you're in those deeper sleep stages, the body goes through a state of paralysis, right? And it's actually studied, and there's quite a bit of research to back these apps. So it's intriguing for someone to gain some awareness in terms of their quality of sleep. And are they getting into those deeper stages, or is it more of that shallow sleep that's happening?
Totally.
Mhm.
My Fitbit gives me pretty good sleep data, and that's been kind of nice too.
Oh,
And
good.
I think Apple Watches do that too. But yeah, technology is great when it comes to that these days. We can really tell a lot when it comes to our sleep.
And in another way, though, technology is a whole other topic when it comes to sleep, because if you talk to any parent who is a teenager, technology comes up, right? Time on screens, having their phones. And I'm guilty of also being on my phone until late. So I do my best to talk to clients. I'm not good with practicing what I preach when it comes to that at times. The whole try to get off screens an hour before bed. Do your best if you're on screens to make it the darker kind of take away the, what would it be? Just make it on a nighttime mode so it's less blue light and whatnot. But that's a whole other topic.
Oh yes, it's an important topic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm going to be selling out my kid here, but one of my kids earlier this summer confessed that he had taken an iPad, our family iPad, to bed to watch some YouTube gaming videos. It stayed up until 1 a.m. doing that.
Damn it!
I know. I was like, I have failed as a parent. What have I done? No, but that's and I understand the allure of that. That's kind of fun, but needless to say, a little groggy the next day.
Oh, man.
A little difficulty getting going. So yes,
That's a common thing there, I think, Ryan. Kids kind of, it's not unheard of sneaking the stuff late at night or.
nope. No.
Good, you talked about it.
Yeah, charging. Yep. Go ahead, Ryan. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, yes, I was glad that after he was caught red-handed, he did fess up to it. That was very nice.
Had a client, a teenager as well, found a book that kind of is around the same dimensions as her iPad. So she got the sleeve of the book and put it around her iPad. She's like, okay, going to bed now. I'm just going to go read my book. And she was up late watching videos and playing games and stuff. So it does happen. A lot of creativity out there.
Yeah, and I can understand that. I mean, I was the kid who was up late at night reading a book with the flashlight under the covers, But if I had a television in my hands, oh my gosh, that would be so much more appealing,
Yeah, and it wasn't black and white. That'd be perfect.
Black and white,
Yeah.
with the rabbit ears and the rotating thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd like to. Okay, so I'm going to throw this out there, and this is from my own personal experience. I can't back this up with research, but if I'm having a really, really, really hard time falling asleep, like I'm trying all these different techniques and it's just not working, I may throw on a movie that I've seen many, 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 many times before. I'll make sure it's not the blue light, it's the softer light. And often, I focus my mind just enough to follow just to pay attention to what's going on, but I don't need to focus too much because I know what's going to happen, of course, right? So I swear sometimes it only takes 5 to 10 minutes and I'm out when I start these movies up. So it's a slippery slope and you don't want to become too reliant on that. But on those really difficult nights when the fixation and rumination is happening, it has actually helped me out.
That's a great tip. I like that, Chris. That's
So,
great. Okay, I just got to ask though, can I have just at least one example of one of those movies that you've watched so many times you're kind of bored by it?
Well, I can't be bored by it. Like it's something that I do want to.
Okay.
So often it's nostalgia, and they're actually, I think they're all cartoons, or not cartoons, but animated movies. So Wreck-It Ralph is one of them. I can throw that on, and before like probably a few minutes into it, I'm out. Megamind is another one, and Shrek, the first Shrek.
Great one.
So I throw those on, and it's it works amazingly well. But again, slippery slope though. So you don't want to do that or become too reliant on that every night, right?
That's great.
And I think, Chris, if people have the option or luxury of having a TV in the room, or I guess these days, there's laptops and stuff to do that. But
sure.
I know you had a bad habit of falling. Do you consider it a bad habit? You'd fall asleep on the couch all the time watching movies. And I'm like, how is that a good sleep for you? But then I think that works for you. So I think some people, it's just so different in that way, right?
Yeah, it was back in the day when I lived at home as well. I don't have a TV. I just have an iPad. I don't have a TV. But I was watching hockey, our Vancouver Canucks in the playoffs, and I was down in the basement watching the game with my dad. And I'm like, what the heck is going on with your TV? It's streaky and it looked like it was burning out. And he looked over at me and said, well, someone would stay up all night leaving the TV on. So the thing is burning out on me. So I think it's about time for me to get a new TV.
Whoops. It's unfortunate.
Do you two have any go-tos for yourself?
I do have one I would love to share. I've got a yellow pad sitting next to a legal pad sitting next to my bed. And it's actually not this size, it's a lot smaller, but a little pad that I have there because there are a lot of times when I have these sort of fleeting thoughts of, I need to remember to do this. It's like nighttime, these all kind of catch up to me. I got to remember to call this person, or don't forget to send this to someone, and I just have it there. I have a pen there. I jot it down, and the act of writing it down for me is very nice because it says I don't need to keep remembering this. I don't need to keep a hold of this in my head anymore. It's here. I'll check it in the morning. That makes it feel a whole lot better for me. So that's a big one for me. Empty out my brain on that piece of paper, and sometimes I'll be falling asleep. It'll be 5 minutes in, and suddenly I'll wake up and go, I can't forget to do this. I got to write it down. But it really helps out. So that's what I do.
Joanna, do you have a go-to?
For if I can't sleep?
Yeah.
Oh man. For me, it's, I tend to just lie there, honestly. I've gotten into the unfortunate habit of checking my phone to see what time it is, and I try not to do that. I don't get the best sleep, so I have a lot of different things going on, or I wake up a lot, or I tend to not get into full sleep cycle. So that's something I'm actually looking into a little bit. I went to a sleep lab overnight recently, but I tend to just lie there. I don't turn on the lights. I don't, I did for a while look at my phone, but I just try to, it doesn't take me too long, fortunately. I'm not up for too long, but.
Yeah, it's good. So you're trying to be patient with it. And a very good point too, Joe, of like people are having issues with sleep, then often like going to a sleep lab is key, or doing testing to see if you're what do they call it when you're not breathing properly at nighttime.
Sleep apnea.
Sleep apnea, yeah, that's extremely common, right?
Yeah.
So if it's not adding up, then definitely worthwhile things to look into.
Definitely, yeah.
Certainly.
So I don't have much to contribute there, but how about you, Brooke?
Yeah, so last night, actually, I was going down the rabbit hole of thoughts, just, grabbing, getting in that spiral. But I caught myself, which is good. And then, so my first go-to is I actually do hand on heart. So I lie on my back and I put my hand on my heart and I'll put my other hand on top of my hand. If I need like last night, I felt like I needed that for extra pressure. But if not, you can put your other hand on your stomach so you can feel your breath. And then when you put your hand on your heart, you think about positive memories or positive people in your life and you try to visualize that. And in doing that, it releases oxytocin into the body, which will shut down your cortisol and your stress hormones. And it worked within 5 minutes last night.
Oh, awesome.
No problem.
Wow.
And
That's
it's
great.
right down. And if that's not working, if hand on heart isn't working, I do get up and I get out of bed and I go sit in the living room with a lamp or just in the dark because there's street lights coming in anyways. And I let my body cool off. I might cuddle with my dog, sit by an open window, that sort of thing. And just try and simmer down. And once I'm actually head bobbing and tired or long blinking, then I'll go back to bed.
Head bobbing and long blinking. I love it.
Yeah, I think it's good to hear the differences amongst us, because I think that speaks to there are different recommendations out there. There'll be some recommendations that say, don't turn on the light, don't get out of bed, stay in bed, or get up out of bed, or, so I think it's, I don't know, is it kind of finding what works for you but trying it for a certain period of time? Because I fear with people who might even try self-care things, they're like, I tried it, doesn't work. And I feel like with sleep, it takes a lot of patience and consistency in trying to rewire some different habits for yourself, right?
It's true. That's true.
For sure.
I'll have to add one more thing we haven't mentioned yet, and it's kind of an innovative idea, but sometimes before I go to bed, I will read. Yeah, I know.
Oh.
Yes.
What is this reading?
I will read a book.
Like a
Sometimes
paper book?
actually,
Or like on your phone?
I've kind of gone Kindle on that one. So I got the backlit Kindle thing, and I just will read a book for a while, and I find that to be kind of interesting. But and I reread books all the time too. It's kind of like Chris with movies. I reread books a lot, so a lot of times the book I've read before, kind of know where it's going, and that really helps me to kind of zone out. That rapid eye movement right there happening when I'm reading, it helps me to chill out and fall asleep.
So Ryan, is there a correlation there, like reading a new book versus a book that you've read before in terms of falling asleep?
I'm not sure that there's correlation there. I enjoy new books, but I guess in kind of I'm piggybacking on what you're saying. Like it's like a nostalgia thing. I like reading an old book because it kind of feels comfortable and easy. That's kind of fun. Well, guys, I think we covered a lot of ground here with this sleep stuff. This was fun. Are there any takeaways, Brooke? I mean, you asked the question. Is there anything that you would like to say in summary of for what we're saying about sleep here?
I would say sleep is important, and
Fair enough. Yes.
very important. And trying to nail down your bedtime routine and a sleep hygiene that works for you is highly recommended. And if you need to get some help with that, there are therapists or sleep labs or books.
Definitely.
Or lists online that you can look at to check
Absolutely.
that out.
Lots of tips out there.
Mhm.
Tons of tips, tons of places to look. Absolutely. All right, that's it for today. We are on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, we're on Podbean, we're on Spotify. We're everywhere. All right, so please do us a favor if you like what we're doing, and tell a friend about us, because we got to get to those all 50 states and all around Canada if we can. But thank you for listening. What, you got something to say, Chris?
I said include none of it too. Someone up in none of it too. So
yes, if you know someone in none of it, please let them know about the Mental Health Bootcamp podcast. Thank you very much, you guys. Have a good night.
Thanks,
And we'll
everyone.
talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Beep, beep.
Bye.